let me tell you a story that will make your brain wriggle, and about creatures that would happily see it do so. An unearthly tale of hive mind mentality and the worst kind of collective intelligence. Minds that hide deep below the surface of our world, as much as pass unnoticed beneath our feet.
Hey there, creatures, and welcome to Encounter This, a podcast exploration of the creatures from Dungeons & Dragons and the lore that surrounds them. Good day, creatures. Welcome to another fantastic episode of Encounter This. I am your co-host, James Krang Kid, and with me, as always, is Freeman, the Brainiac Ice Tin. He's going to be taking us through Intellect, Devourers from the Monster Manual on page 191, Cranium Rats, Volo's Guide to Monsters 133, and the Elder Brain, Volo's Guide to Monsters 173 to 174. There is a lot of brains happening today.
This is the Illithids Big Brain Time episode.
I love it. What a good name.
Nice little theme going on. Yeah, I came up with that this afternoon. I was pretty excited about it. Let's we're gonna go in that order, starting with the Monster Manual, Intellect Devourer, sort of a more commonly known classic creature.
Absolute classic.
We're gonna start with a quote that's in the Monster Manual, and it says, "Don't cry. We have no intention of eating your brain. In fact, your brain is going on a wonderful journey." And that is by Corric L. Slurk, the Mind Flayer.
L. Slurk might be the greatest name I've ever seen.
L. Slurk.
It definitely reminds me of something out of like Futurama.
Yeah, it's Slurms Mackenzie.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So I thought the same thing. That's so good. So Intellect Devourers. They are created by Mind Flayers. And basically what they'll do is they'll remove the brain of one of their thralls and conduct a dark and horrible ritual on it. And this is how an Intellect Devourer is created. The brain first goes through a larval stage. It's called and this is going to be tough, Ustilagor? Ostilagor. I have no idea. Ustilagor. Definitely not it's probably another one of those Underdark words that we get so confused about.
Yeah, no doubt.
But I sent you a few pictures there on Discord. The very first two are examples of this larval stage.
Okay.
So their brains got like...
Kind of looks like a brain with tentacles and mittens.
Yeah. They do look a bit like mittens, don't they? They kind of look like... The first one looks like he's wearing some slippers that my grandmother used to knit me when I was a kid.
Right. Like a couple of oven mitts.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So not well developed legs essentially on them. These larvae are still capable of hunting, however, but they are considerably weaker, so they hunt in packs, and they will usually follow prey for several hours, stealing their thoughts and slowly hazing and confusing their minds before attacking.
Crazy.
Yeah, and these things in this larval stage, they were actually considered delicacies for eating in the famed Mind Flayer colony known as Orindol, which we spoke about in the first Mind Flayer episode. And
I believe that was the Patreon exclusive one, right?
Yeah. Oh, maybe it was. It might have been in that one. Yeah. But these larval forms of Intellect Devourers would be sold at high prices in what was called the thrall market, which I believe was within that Mind Flayer colony. So pretty messed up. That's some French cuisine shit right there.
Absolutely, yeah.
Eventually, though, if not eaten, they will sprout more bestial legs. And then, of course, I sent you quite a few pictures from each edition. They've gone from first straight through 5. They're not listed in order, however. I don't know why they uploaded weird, but...
I'm sure I can figure it out.
The oddly realistic looking one is from 4E. It's almost like they're going for almost a hyper realism on that artwork.
It looks like a Photoshop.
Yeah, it kind of does, isn't it? It looks like a Banksy thing or something where you Photoshop the Intellect Devourer onto like an actual piece of like famed artwork or something.
Yeah.
really just painted it on top.
Yeah. Oh, there's a big trend of that a few years ago.
Yeah.
It was like painting the Death Star and like paintings people found at the thrift shop.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So basically, these larvals they'll finally sprout like more bestial legs, and they'll have a sort of crusty coating that forms on them as a bit of a protective shell. But they are otherwise very, very fragile in general. And now, Intellect Devourers will feed on intelligence and will take over a victim's body to serve the Mind Flayer masters. And these Intellect Devourers are considered to be just as twisted as their creators.
So are they? I guess they're intelligent, right?
They are intelligent, yeah. We'll get to. Of course, we'll cover that in mechanics, but they're not like hyper intelligent, but they are intelligent creatures, yeah.
Right. Okay.
So after consuming a prey's memories and mind, they will basically turn the body into a puppet under their control, typically using the host body to lure in unwitting creatures in the Mind Flayer's domain to become enthralled. So a Mind Flayer uses a thrall, takes its brain out, does this ritual, uses the ritual to turn into an Intellect Devourer, which then goes out and grabs another body and then uses that body to bring in more people to be enthralled. It's just a nice little cycle going on.
Yeah, this luring seems to be kind of a theme. The Mind Flayers just don't seem to want to do their own work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oblex last episode, and now the Intellect Devourers, they just have no penchant for physical labor.
And then we in the first Mind Flayer episode, we touched on basically everything we're going to be talking about here, briefly at the very least. And it's a lot of that. It's just a lot of that enthralling and luring and not really doing dirty work yourself, which is sort of the ultimate part of the Elder Brain as well.
Right.
But that's about it on Intellect Devourers. There's not much. They're just little Mind Flayer thralls of their own, or creations to bring in more thralls. They are interesting mechanically, which we'll get to, but otherwise, lore-wise, that's it. They're really quite simple.
Okay. I actually don't know a goddamn thing about Intellect Devourers. I did not pre-read it before we sat down.
Okay, sure.
This. So I'm excited to learn.
Yeah, I think they're all right. They're all right mechanically. They're a little more than you maybe would expect, but it's pretty cool. But from there, we'll move on right on to Cranium rats. These guys have a little bit more for sure.
These are the rats with the clear dome, right?
Yeah, basically they're normal rats, but they've been purposely bombarded with psionic energy by Mind Flayers. And
that's Rat Mojo Jojos.
And they become Cranium rats. And they are indistinguishable from normal rats other than the fact that they have enlarged, exposed brains. But otherwise, they basically act like normal rats for the most part. They eat larger amounts of meat for whatever reason than the average rat. And it is unknown whether or not they can reproduce other Cranium rats or they just reproduce regular rats.
It's unknown that they can reproduce. Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, if they reproduce, is another Cranium rat born, or is it just a normal rat that still needs to be bombarded by this psionic energy? No one seems to know.
I like how nobody knows that, but they do know for a fact that they eat larger amounts of meat.
I love when a fact is that the fact that's given is we don't know this. It's like, that's not much of a fact, is it?
I like that part of the lore. I just can't imagine that they could empirically prove that they eat more meat than other rats.
Yeah.
Like, rats don't give a shit.
Right. So a Cranium rat is actually no smarter than a normal rat. However, they have the ability to combine their intelligence when grouped together, and they can form their own single hivemind intelligence of their own and share collective memories. So as long as a swarm persists, so does the heightened intelligence that they share. And latent psionic abilities implanted by the psionic bombardments will start to manifest.
This sounds terrifying.
Yeah, it is. Actually, I really love these guys. You'll see why at the very end. I sort of had an idea. I was reading about them. So a single rat separated from a swarm will slowly become less intelligent, essentially. So collectively, we'll get a small mechanic in here. Collectively, they have an intelligence of 15 in a swarm. But if one gets separated, it's quite high. When they're separated, one point of intelligence is lost per day until they reach a low of 4.
That's not very quick.
No, it's slowly receding, which is pretty terrifying. And a single low intelligence cranium rat can use its telepathic ability to communicate its hunger, fear, or other base emotions, while a swarm is a little bit more intelligent and will actually use collective pronouns like we or us and like speak in full sentences.
Wow.
And basically, cranium rats, and especially the swarms, are used as spies for mind flayer colonies. So because they can invade like surface communities, they can get up to the surface world and act as eyes and ears of the elder brain, so long as they maintain within the elder brain's range of telepathy. But for the most part, like, just aside from the fact that they have these large exposed brains, people sort of don't really bat an eye at them beyond a normal rat. So they're really quite under the radar.
Yeah, and rats are pretty quick, so I don't know if you'd see the clear brain on the top of its head.
Right. And sitting in a fantasy setting, like most people, they're just going to be so commonplace and so normal. And I mean, certainly considered a pest, but not like what you experience like today, right? They would be so much more common and just sort of ignored a lot of the time.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Yeah.
Now, cranium rats are not usually aggressive, but will be if instructed to attack. And even then, they act more like ambushers and direct rather than directly attacking. When it becomes clear they're not about to win the fight, they will actually just disperse into single units and just take off and flee and then regather later. And occasionally, a cranium rat will sort of spread, or a group of them or a single one will spread beyond the influence of the elder brain. And the elder brain, you might recall, has a 5-mile radius of influence. And so getting to the surface, that could really be on the edge of that influence. And so sometimes they do break off, but no one is ever concerned about it. Mind flayers, elder brain, they simply don't concern themselves over it because they are so easy to reproduce again. So they take no real worry in them breaking off. However, and I've written here, here's your adventure hook, everyone, because I like this. Cranium rats specifically did not gather in overly dense populations. Like, they didn't densely populate themselves into a group. And some believe this is because too large of a group would be inefficient in accomplishing their tasks. However, it's also possible that the more of them there are, the higher the chance they could ascend to a higher level of being. Now, if I remember correctly, this comes from a second edition campaign setting called Planescape. And I love this idea. I think it's really cool. Like, mind flayers and elder brain, they sort of dismiss the fact that maybe a group of cranium rats have broken off, or maybe several groups. But what if those cranium rats do gather together? They don't lose their ability after breaking away. And what if you could somehow create yourself a big baddie? Made up of a massive swarm of these cranium rats. It's just super hyper intelligent. And it's slowly taking over like a town or a city or something like that, and have that kind of working in the background at all times. Maybe even alluding to maybe it's a mind flayer influence, maybe it's an elder brain influence. They're the ones doing this, but it's actually not. It's actually a slowly rising and hyper intelligent swarm of rats living in the sewer system or something.
I love it. I think that would be fantastic. I think for most people, though, that would be super anticlimactic.
I mean, it would
Turns out the villain was just a swarm of rats all along.
But the way I picture it would involve a massive amount of homebrew on like that swarm of rats side, like up to creating a really high CR swarm with like immense power.
And there'd be a lot of subterfuge too, implicating an elder brain and all that stuff.
Right, yeah. And I would have like multiple versions of these swarms, like, getting bigger and bigger and, higher CRs and that sort of thing. But we can kind of dive into that a little bit later as well.
I see it. I see it. I would love it. I just think that for most people...
They'd be like, what? It's been the rats the whole time?
Yeah, like how do you defeat a hyper-intelligent swarm of rats? Swarms are hard enough.
Yeah, they certainly are.
This would be like a tidal wave.
Yeah, seriously. Oh, just the idea of it. But from there, we'll move on to Elder Brain. We discussed Elder Brain quite a bit in the Mind Flayer episode, but we'll touch on some of the same stuff and we'll add a little bit extra here. I think Elder Brains are cool.
Before we move off, I do have one question about cranium rats.
Yeah, bring it.
Is there a mechanic included in 5th edition to create them, or is it just like hand wavy?
Yeah, hand wavy. No particular mechanic.
Okay.
Yeah.
That kind of makes me sad.
Just a bombardment of psionic energy. I mean, to me, it's not any different than the Intellect Devourer. They perform a dark and horrible ritual. Like, that's all it says. That's all it gives you, right?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, a ritual is normally hand waved to begin with, in my experience, but like, I don't know, maybe they've got a passive ability where mind flayers can just psionically blast rats.
Right. I mean, they do have their own mind blast ability, so maybe that's sort of assumed. You know, remember that 60-foot cone we talked about? Just boom, mind blast, and if they find they capture a bunch of rats, or maybe they just do that a few times, and suddenly they transform or something.
Okay. I like it.
At the very least, we know mind flayers have the ability to psionically bombard people, so that's in the mechanics.
Yeah, that was never up for debate.
Yeah. All right, so Elder Brain. Ready for some Elder Brain action?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. So again,
I'm really, I'll be honest with you, I'm really nervous about the Elder Brain because I really want it to be everything that Mind Flayer wasn't.
Okay.
And I'm not 100% sure it's gonna be.
Yeah, so mechanically, it's gonna be an interesting one, and there's a lot of like long format like abilities baked into them. But we'll get there. We'll see.
For sure, yeah.
But again, we'll cover a few things that we already know. So the Elder Brain is considered the ultimate expression of Illithid domination. It sits in a tank or vat of viscous, briny fluid, and reaching and touching thoughts within 5 mile reach. It rewrites thoughts and authors dreams of all those under its sway. I put those into quotations. That's straight from Volo's guide. I thought that was really cool. Rewrites thoughts and authors dreams.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
When an Elder Brain invades a creature's mind, it changes its perceptions, deceives its senses. It chooses what the creature experiences as it sees fit, up to and including what it tastes, hears, sees, feels, etc. It can affect all of those things. And it basically implants subconscious suggestions and twists dreams to influence a creature to take actions that would fit its grand plans. And if the suggestion fails to take hold, it will take a more direct approach in asserting its dominance, like directly linking it to it instead. And like they'll seize control of the mind, a mind that's like resistant to its sort of subversive suggestions, and try to control the body like a puppet. A creature that is particularly staunch in resisting this, and is even capable of reaching and attacking the Elder Brain, will find itself up against overwhelming blasts of psychic force, crushing its mind and leaving it mindless, drooling like a shell of its former self. An Elder Brain is sustained by consuming brains of others, just like Mind Flayers, and in particular, usually the brains of Mind Flayers. If an Elder Brain is not being tended to regularly and directly by Mind Flayers, it will reach out to compel creatures to approach it so it can feed directly.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it'll create like its own hive of creatures that aren't necessarily Mind Flayers.
No, it's more like using those influences and authoring those dreams to like people to make creatures come towards it so that it can just like grab them and consume them itself, just lure them into its grasp, and just tearing them apart. So I would imagine this sort of thing might happen if, like, say, the Mind Flayer colony is more or less been destroyed, but the Elder Brain has survived, and it'll slowly sort of draw more these creatures in, and I guess potentially rebuild that Mind Flayer colony through the Ceramorphosis and the tadpoles.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Okay.
So, of course, the brains of Mind Flayers are fed to the Elder Brain. This allows for not only nourishment, but it absorbs memories, knowledge, and experiences held within the brain. And this way, it continues to grow power and knowledge, and that power and knowledge can be shared across the hive mind or colony. And the colony the Elder Brain oversees and controls is linked like a single unit and organism, which we had spoken about before. Each creature sort of under the influence operates like a digit on a many-fingered hand. Basically, the Elder Brain considers its own desires and wants above all else. Literally nothing across the multiverse surpasses the importance to the Elder Brain of its own wants. And everything under its control is considered no more than pawns and tools to further its gains. There's no love loss to any creature in its colony when it dies or is destroyed. Now, however, Elder Brains are unique and have different desires and different personalities. They're not just like, we can have multiple ones, and they do sort of go off and separate themselves and sort of keep to themselves, but they do have differing personalities based on the unique combination of personalities and experiences absorbed through, eating its constituents' brains, if you will. So some elderbrains might be brutal tyrants, some might be more sagely and benign, and some will even act as counselors of sorts or simply repositories of knowledge. So while I think everything's lawful evil across the board, but they're not necessarily, it's not that chaotic evil where they're like out to get everybody and out to just dominate. And that is a sort of a mind flayer philosophy. They are the ultimate and everything else should be destroyed. But it's not always like the main goal or immediate goal of an elderbrain. So they can...
Right. I get that.
Yeah. Which makes me think about...
Anything with an intelligence like that high usually leads me to believe that they're lawful evil versus chaotic evil. I don't know what it is about unintelligence and chaotic evil that seem linked in my mind, but they definitely do.
Yeah. Well, I guess that lack of intelligence just like allows for more erratic behavior, more action without thinking about it beforehand. More instinctual aggressiveness. Whereas like higher intelligence, you'll stay your hand. You're more likely to stay your hand and look at it a little bit more logically.
Yeah, I think you're right there. Yeah.
Now the and I was also thinking too. I haven't really dove into this Orindol colony that's sort of famed. We've mentioned it a couple times now, but the larvae of the Intellect Devourers being delicacies and them having the thrall market makes me wonder. I want to look into it more, but it makes me wonder if that colony was sort of famously not aggressive. Maybe people came and went to that colony and were able to indulge in, say, the thrall market or trade with the mind flayers or some such, at least to some degree.
I feel like they probably were. That's the only way for a city to flourish is for outside influence to have an effect, whether that be through trade or, like nationalism or what have you.
Right.
But it's literally called the thrall market, right? So
yeah.
in my mind, thrall is synonym for a slave. Mm-hmm. So I think the purpose is, I wonder if the larvae aren't actually delicacies, and that's something the elder brain is implanted into its thrall's brains in order to call the herd, to create its, to prevent its mind flayers population from getting too high.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, could be. The thing I've noticed in researching more on the elder brain, and I will actually see it reflected mechanically as well, is that a lot of the descriptions seem to indicate that they have direct control over everything in that hive mind aspect, but it's not really the case. They have immense amounts of influence, and anyone who like deviates from that influence, especially if it's a mind flayer and such, that's when direct control starts to be established to force them to do what they want. But otherwise, they are left to their own devices to a degree, and very subtly and subversively influenced constantly. It's not like a constant direct control.
Yeah, I like that finger influence. I like that finger metaphor because, you're not often 100% paying attention to what your hands are doing.
Right.
Normally, you're just kind of on autopilot. So the brain is guiding the hand in the background, but each finger is kind of acting, for the most part, independently, unless that brain specifically wants to focus on it. I think that's a really apt metaphor.
Yeah, I think so, too. That's a really good point. So now, the only thing that can temper an elder brain's sort of motives is its, quote, relative immobility. Basically, it sits in the tank, right? It has a 5-mile reach, which is nothing to scoff at, but also, how big is the world?
I don't know how big 5 miles
how much bigger is the world than 5 miles? I'd say pretty tremendously. The act of moving an elder brain is considered to be very dangerous, a changing location. And so it needs to rely on its limited telepathic reach in order to further its gains. So there is a certain limit to what it can sort of manage. I'm going to send you a picture real quick that I'm going to put on the Instagram. And it's an artwork for apparently an elder brain being transported.
Oh.
And it looks...
Are those Yugolas?
I think they are. And it's like... it seems to be encased in some sort of really dark, crazy looking shell that's probably meant for temporary transport. But
it looks like a haircut and a beard of a villain from the 70s.
It's got like a widow's peak going on, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got like a pointy goatee on the bottom.
Yeah.
I think that's a great image.
Yeah.
I think those are a type of Yugoloth. I think they might be Quaggoths or a converted type of those. I know there's a stat block for them in 5e. They're like chained and pulling it like oxen.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
It's
so dark. And I think actually, are they the Quaggoths? They're the Quaggoths, aren't they? Because we talked about them. You thought they were called something else, but the Quaggoths are among the chief underdark creatures that are usually influenced by mind flayers or enthralled.
I think you're right.
I'm googling Quaggoth right now. It's definitely them.
Okay.
To Quaggoth, which we'll cover eventually when we get into more Underdark related beasts and stuff.
Oh, okay. We're not covering them in the next episode.
No, we are not. I don't think we are. I don't think it's on the list.
Okay.
Yeah, we're sticking with the Illithids for this theme for now. The actual Illithids.
Right.
But like, lastly, on the Elderbrains, if they are taken outside of their tank, an Elderbrain will perish really quickly. So this idea of transportation is again considered very dangerous, and it's particularly because they're in the Underdark, tight subterranean tunnels, like a very daunting, dangerous task to do for such a delicate creature. Well, I say delicate outside of its tank.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. It all seems to be pretty similar to the stuff we've already gone over for the Elder Brain. I still think it's a really neat idea. The more we talk about it, the more I think it's a pretty tired trope at this point. Mm-hmm. But we can talk about that.
Yeah, it's almost like repeating the same word over and over and over and over and over and over and over, and it starts to lose its meaning. We've just been talking about hive minds and this influence for like weeks now.
Well, I mean, even in like pop culture, this has kind of been the big thing for the last 10 years.
Right.
Not necessarily a giant brain in a tank, but somebody who's super smart who isn't physically able is a big trope in pop culture right now between like MODOK in the Avengers movies or the leader in the Flash shows or the thinker in the DC comics. Mm-hmm. Like there's enough people or creatures out there that are highly intelligent whose mobility is incredibly restricted until the climax of Act 3 where they get into some super sweet mech suit or something. Mm-hmm. I.e. Krang.
Yeah, i.e. Krang. I was wondering about the Brainiac and Krang. I feel like you know more about them than I do.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot about both of those.
I had a feeling you did.
So Krang, for those of you who don't know or didn't listen to the last episode, is one of the interdimensional villains from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles line. I believe he first appears in the original Mirage comic line. Very smart little creature. It's a brain with tentacles that exists in the stomach of a giant robot. A lot of the time, the Shredder has an unsteady alliance with him. He features pretty heavily in the 90s cartoons, if you're one of those people.
Oh, yeah. I do remember him being in there a lot, and the robot looked hilariously dumb.
Yeah.
It was like such a typical what do you call it, 90s like look for a robot.
For sure. And it looks the exact same in the Michael Bay sequel to Transformers.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was called. The most recent live-action CGI movie that came out was actually pretty good, and Krang was the main villain in that. Spoilers, I guess.
Yeah.
But Brainiac, I think, is probably a better fit, other than the fact that Brainiac is, I think, a robot. Brainiac's origin changes every 15 minutes, I feel like. Mm-hmm. Brainiac is one of the main antagonists from the Superman comic books, and there's a storyline where Brainiac is an alien. There's a storyline where Brainiac was a robot that was created by Superman in order to help him out. He's essentially a really intelligent supercomputer who absorbs planets and cultures in order to absorb their intelligence and then moves on.
Amazing. See, I knew you'd have. There's your pop culture references, guys. I have nothing. I love it. You are such a nerd.
Yeah. Feels like that some days.
Yeah, I was like, it's so funny. Like you and I we share this in our nerdage and little else.
Very little else.
Very little else. All right, one second.
It's good. It works. And I guess that brings us to that sound, listeners.
Oh, we're getting better at squeezing these in at the same scheduled moment.
It seems that way.
I'm the worst at not doing it because I get eager. Yeah.
So, for those of you who are new to the show, if this is your very first episode, that is the sound of the ad break, where we tell you that this episode is in no way sponsored or affiliated with Strange Fellows Brewing's Blackmail Stout.
Yeah, not in any way sponsored by them, but one day, maybe, if we keep pressing.
Hitting that goal on Patreon and then having them sponsor us with a beer a week is literally the entire goal of this show.
Yeah, that's it. That's all we care about.
Break even and free beer.
We need more public support so that we can be officially sponsored by our favorite beer.
I mean, what more could two people want,
right?
Really?
Yeah. What more do we need to motivate us?
And of course, there's you, dear listeners, who we want to, obviously this show is for us first and foremost because we like talking and we like talking about things. But we're so glad to have you guys along for the ride because this is a dream come true. The fact that you people want to listen to us idiots talk about made up bullshit.
Seriously. But also,
it's
if
fantastic,
this is your first episode listening, why are you listening to a part 3 of something for the first time? Come on, guys.
I don't know, man. Maybe that's where they think it gets interesting. The third Indiana Jones was the best.
Only the newest one, yeah. Yeah, fair enough.
That's the only one I can think of where the third one was the best.
Third one was Last Crusade, right?
Yeah. I was going to say, don't fuck this up. We'll get letters.
No, that was my favorite one. That was definitely my favorite one growing up.
Yeah. I mean, Raiders is always a soft spot in my heart, and I'm that weird guy who likes Crystal Skull more than I like Temple of Doom, but whatever. At me on Twitter.
Oh my God, you're always begging for a fight.
I'm prepared to defend my position
about like movies and media and this sort of thing.
I will not apologize for my position on what I like.
This is true. It's like when we go to Carl's to play Starfinder, and everyone would yell at me for locking the door behind me. I'm like, I'm never going to apologize for locking the door behind me.
Yeah, I get that. I spent my entire teens and early 20s defending ska music, so like I'm used to it by now.
And I'm the biggest Star Wars apologist in the world, although the last trilogy is the exception. It became the exception.
Another show.
By the time it finished, it became the exception to my apologies. Couldn't do it anymore. But anyway,
that last one.
We've got our beers open. Let's talk about...
We got our beers. Let's settle into some numbers, because nothing goes better with beer than numbers.
Absolutely. Especially when you're counting how many beers you've had.
One.
It's a light day for us, guys. So... Intellect Devourers, we're going to start with them. What CR are you thinking?
Like 1/2, honestly. Like pretty... Well, I guess there's the pre-Intellect Devourer.
Yeah, I don't have a stat block for them. They only seem to have appeared in earlier editions. They're not in 5th edition. Right. I think they only popped up in like 2nd and 3rd, maybe.
Okay, so if there's an earlier rendition of them or a younger version, I would imagine that'd be like a 1/2. Because I don't think they would dumb Mind Flayer anything Mind Flayer adjacent down to 1/4. So
right. So before I realized
like
there was
one?
a Marvel stage, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, oh, these guys are probably like 1/2, 1/4, or something like that. And
yeah,
but they're actually at CR2, so not high, but high, definitely higher than I thought. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the CR2 HP of 21, AC of 12, speed of 40 feet. They're pretty quick.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
Their brain on beefcake legs, like it looks like the first rendition of Trogdor. Big beefy legs on there. The S is for Sucks Dragon, is what it's called.
Legs. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So they're tiny in size. Obvious lawful evil aberrations. They know deep speech but cannot speak. Telepathy up to 60 feet. All pretty above board. Only condition immunity is blinded. They don't even have eyes, so that's going to be a thing.
Okay, but they don't know the languages that they knew in life?
No, they don't. But
really?
we'll get to a little bit, actually. They have blind sight 60 feet, blind beyond this radius. This is in the monster manual. So our last episode, we talked about maybe they had added this in Mordenkainen's. There's your evidence that's not the case. So
so the slithering tracker isn't blind beyond.
Is not blind beyond either that or they oversighted it. But apparently that face works.
If you read any erratas, let us know about that, because I don't read any of the erratas.
Yeah, me neither. It's too much going on.
It's way too much. It's not published. I can't be fucked. I'll change it when I need to. So tell me about the abilities.
The abilities, they have one particular trait or ability, if you will, called Detect Sentience. So they can sense the presence and location of any creature within 300 feet, so long as the creature has an intelligence score of 3 or higher.
I almost spit my beer out when you said 300 feet.
Yeah, nothing to scoff at, man. Barriers do not affect this unless you are protected by the Mind Blank spell.
I've never even heard of that spell.
I didn't hear about it until I read this either, but I have come prepared, and I made a note of it, and it is a level 8 spell.
Jesus.
It is an abjuration spell, one action to cast, lasts for 24 hours. Only bards and wizards have access to it. And until the spell ends, one willing creature you touch is immune to psychic damage, any effect that would sense its emotions or read its thoughts, divination spells, and the charmed condition. The spell even foils wish spells and spells or effects of similar power used to affect the target's mind or to gain information about the target. Like
8th level spell?
8th level spell.
Can you imagine busting an 8th level spell to fuck off a CR2 creature?
Yeah. I mean, that's a properly powerful spell in and of itself. It can if
Wish is only level 7, isn't it?
After my head, I don't know. I would imagine that's an 8 though. It's insanely powerful. Maybe even a level 9. But the fact that if you're using the wish spell to affect someone's mind in particular, this spell will stop it from working. That's pretty intense. So prepare your level 8 spells, guys. Intellect Devourers are coming.
You're right. Wish is a 9th level spell.
Yeah, it's insane. It's insane. Not only is it it's one of those spells that you would be obligated to make sure that you're using the proper mechanics up to including material components, because it's so powerful.
It's also probably the biggest spell description I've ever seen.
Oh, it's insane. And you read through the whole thing, and you're like, this should actually probably be even longer. I guaranteed they've left some stuff out, because it's just too. It's so
I'm
powerful.
legit not even gonna read it.
I've read it before. It's been a while, but yeah. But beyond this, they have multi attack, so they can use their claw attack once, and they can use what's called Devourer Intellect. So claw attack's a +4 to hit, 2d4 +2 slashing, very basic. But the other attack, Devourer Intellect, basically one creature within 10 feet must make an intelligence saving throw, DC 12, and this is considered against magic. So any bonuses against magic, like such as an elf, I believe it will work. And if you fail, you take 2d10 psychic damage. And also upon failure, a 3d6 is rolled. If the total equals the target's intelligence score, that score is reduced to 0. The target is stunned until it regains at least 1 point of intelligence.
Jesus Christ.
So this is a CR2 creature. 2d10 psychic damage is already a potentially quite beast as a part of a multi-attack, no less.
Huge for a 2d10.
Yeah, part of a multi-attack, no less. And you can reduce... now, there's a very small chance what you roll is going to equal the intelligence score. It's got to be bang on. It's not over. It's not close to. Not within a certain radius or range. It's equal to. But if it does happen...
but you get that. It's a free fucking roll every turn.
Right? Yeah.
Jesus.
So if it does happen, it's pretty intense. And, I mean, off the top of my head, I don't even know how you go about restoring ability score points in 5e, because it doesn't say it lasts a restoration spell. Okay, because it doesn't say it lasts for a certain amount of time. It's indefinite. Basically, your intelligence goes to 0. You're stunned until you regain point of intelligence. Like, that could devastate a whole character if you're in the wrong spot at the wrong time.
If I remember, restoration's a pretty lesser restoration's a pretty low level spell.
But if you don't have a party that has it, you'd have to be really careful, I think, with this as a DM, to make sure that you make something available for someone to recover from this. Otherwise, it could be too punishing if the dice rolls right.
Oh, okay. So it's actually greater restoration you need to do this. Yeah. So that's a 5th level, and it's only Bard, Cleric, and Druid that have access to it.
So we already got a 5th level spell and an 8th level spell to fight off this CR2 creature.
It's a lot.
It's so crazy. And they have one more thing that's called Body Thief. This is under the
There's
actions.
more.
Yeah, there's more. Oh yeah, there's more.
Holy
so this is the mechanic that is going to surround its ability to basically take over another body. So basically,
hit me with it.
The Intellect Devourer can initiate an intelligence contest against an incapacitated humanoid creature within 5 feet. If it wins, it magically consumes the brain and teleports inside the skull and takes control of the body. So you have to be simply incapacitated within 5 feet, and it can do this as an action.
Stunned counts as incapacitated, right?
I think it does. And so while it's inside, so it teleports inside your skull, and while it's inside, it has total cover against any attack or effect that originates outside of the body. And it retains its own intelligence, wisdom, and charisma, which are 12, 11, and 10 respectively. So not really high. It keeps its knowledge of deep speech and telepathic abilities, but otherwise adopts any other stats and abilities of the host, including languages and spells. So, I mean, this is a pretty low chance of this happening to a PC overall, but it really still could, and it's pretty incredible. And so if the host's body drops to 0 hit points, the Intellect Devourer must leave it at that point. And casting a spell, Protection from Good and Evil, will drive the Intellect Devourer out. And it could also be driven out of the brain via the Wish spell. So there's your level 9.
Another 9th level spell. Jesus.
Your level 9 spell against the CR2 creature. And the Intellect Devourer can, of course, spend 5 feet of its movement to voluntarily leave the body, teleporting to an unoccupied space within 5 feet. The body dies, however, within 1 round if the brain is not restored. Again, can only be done by the Wish spell.
Yeah. I think after this Wilderness module that I'm writing, and after the Heaven and Hell module that I'm going to write after that, I think I'm going to write a Mind Flayer module.
That's so crazy shit can happen, man.
This is brutal.
Yes,
this is absolutely
seriously.
brutal.
I absolutely love it. Yeah. But that's it for your Intellect Devourer. It's a whole bunch of shit.
That's incredible.
Pretty gnarly, yeah. Really cool. Really cool creature. I think really well thought out, in my opinion. There's not much I don't think I would change with this thing. I think they've kind of covered their bases on this one. I love
absolutely
such high magic and confirming to resist it.
Yeah, and I can confirm that stunned is incapacitated.
Very nice. So it does manage to get that lucky 3d6 roll against you. It can incapacitate you and then eat your brain the next turn.
Yeah,
boom,
I
gone.
mean, these could be a one-shot kill though. So
right.
But throw a swarm of these guys at the party, or just like consistently drop an Intellect Devourer on like your 10th or 15th level party. Like they would think nothing of it until shit went sideways.
Right. So like the strange thing about this, and how I'm interpreting the way it's written, is that you asked like does it not have the languages new in life? And the answer is no, but it does adopt the languages of the body it takes over, the brain it consumes and the body it takes over. But from what I can gather, it loses those if it leaves the body. So for some reason, it's magically connected to being the brain inside that body. It has to be both those things for it to have these. So if it leaves, it doesn't retain the magic that it had inside the body. It doesn't retain those languages. It has to go do this again.
Well, most magic, this would be arcane or divine, and most of those require somatic components. Mm-hmm. We've established that, the brain with beefcake legs doesn't have a mouth.
True enough.
They'd be verbal components.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I mean, even somatic would be a little hard for them, I'm sure.
Yeah, they got those weird wispy tentacles. I'm sure they could Doctor Strange some shit out. But let's move on. Cranium rats, are they half as brutal?
No, I'd say they're a little more mundane. We have 2 stat blocks for an individual rat and then for the swarm. So the individual rat's really simple. It's a CR 0, HP 12, AC 12, speed 30 feet, tiny beast. no condition immunities, dark vision, so on and so forth. It can, as a bonus action, shed or extinguish dim light up to 5 feet from its brain. The exposed
That's so
brain.
weird.
Yeah, and then otherwise, it is. They are immune to any effect that senses emotions, reads thoughts, or any and all divination spells. That's called Telepathic Shroud. Yeah, and then they have a bite attack, +4 to hit, 1 piercing damage. You don't even roll for it; it's just 1.
Yeah, that's pretty standard for these tiny creatures.
And that's it. That's your single cranium rat. Again, 4 intelligence. What we talked about earlier, where it matters. But then you get them in the swarm, and they boost up to a CR 5.
Okay.
So these guys can be a little bit more dangerous. 36 HP, AC 12 remains the same. These, of course, are a medium swarm of tiny beasts, so medium in size, and they're going to get DR against physical damage, so bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing. And this is regardless of whether or not the attack is magical. And that's sort of how the stock standard for how swarms work, I believe.
Okay.
The idea is that you're not hitting a single entity that's resistant. You're trying to get as many in one swing, kind of thing, and it's really, really hard.
I don't think I've ever run a swarm.
Yeah, I only did the once when we played Ghost of Saltmarsh. The swarm of rot grubs and the swarms of spiders.
Yeah. Right.
And so same deal. They were damage resistant. Of course, they have a lot of condition immunities as well. You can't charm them because there's multiple of them. They can't be frightened, grappled, paralyzed, petrified, prone, restrained, or stunned. Because you're not hitting a single entity, you're hitting multiple. So when one falls away, they're not really, losing their ground or their aggressiveness.
Yeah. Okay.
Now they also still have this illumination ability bonus section. They can do the bright or the dim light from their brain up to 5 feet. But they can also increase that illumination to bright light, and it can extend their choice between 5 and 20 feet. With an additional amount of dim light equal to the number of feet chosen in that radius. So if you go 10 feet, it's an additional 10 dim. So you have some an odd amount of freedom and leeway in there. I'm not really sure why they allowed for that, but there it is. I guess more brains decide to light up the brighter the distance.
Yeah, I mean it's like a battery. You put them in parallel, they'll last longer. But you put them in series, they can
Sure.
They get stronger.
Yeah. Now,
don't correct me if I'm wrong on that, listeners. I don't care.
Now, of course, in the swarm of rats, so we have those innate psionics coming out, so innate spell casting.
Okay, I'm interested in this.
Yeah, intelligence mod of +2, DC is 13 for saves, and they have to be at least at half HP or higher in order to be able to use this. So this is where swarms get their exception to all their defenses. Is that once the swarm does dwindle, they start to lose out on some of their power. So they can't cast this if they're at less than half HP, but at will they can use command, comprehend languages, or detect thoughts, and once per day confusion or dominate monster. And that's the big one. So these guys are ambushers, like I said.
Though. They
very likely are going to grab another creature to attack you alongside them. So
yeah, I suppose.
To me,
I like command and confusion. I think dominate monsters pretty situational, but you as a GM could easily write it in.
Yeah, for sure. And honestly, that's sort of where they become the most dangerous, because otherwise they don't have much going for them. The swarm trait is they can occupy another creature's space. They can go through an opening large enough for one single tiny rat, and they cannot regain HP or gain temporary HP. They maintain the same telepathic shroud as the single rat, so immune to all the emotions and reading of thoughts and divination spells. And then they have a bite attack. As well.
I see here it says they have 2 pseudopods.
Yeah, I was using. I just copied over your old notes and I forgot to remove that. no pseudopods.
Okay.
So they have +5 to hit.
No eat memories.
Yeah, no eat memories. They do 4d6 piercing damage, but if they are at half HP or lower, that is reduced to 2d6. So that they don't bite nearly as much. But that's it. That's your swarm of cranium rats.
I like that.
So,
in your experience, is that how all swarms work? They get that damage reduction.
Same deal. Yeah. So they have this crazy, sort of the magical physical attacks aren't going to make any difference. But they can't regain HP, and they do start to lose out on power the more you dwindle them down. That's sort of stock standard for swarms.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. But otherwise, like I find it a bit strange that these guys are CR5 compared to the Intellect Devourer, who's only CR2. I'm not so sure about those CRs when you're comparing those two creatures.
So this one probably has to do with its swarm abilities. I can't say because I don't think I've ever run a swarm, so I don't know how dangerous swarms are. But if I know anything from pop culture, they're pretty notoriously deadly.
Right.
So I think that probably has something to do with it. But that's kind of it. Like, I guess you could cast psionics while you're swarming a creature, but there's no attack spell there, so I don't see why I would need to.
Yeah. Again, ambushers.
It's probably the damage reduction, I would imagine, that gives it that higher CR.
Yeah. In any case, I think they're cool creatures. Again, like I would love to just beef these guys up in crazy ways to like go with that adventure hook I talked about earlier, and just really start adding some insane stuff, and like stuff that's very much inspired by the other Illithids and like Mind Flayers, Mind Blasts, and probably stuff from the Elder Brain as well.
Right.
Really play that idea of like there might be no limit to how high their intelligence can get.
I like that too.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that. I got some ideas for that in homebrew,
okay,
so we'll talk about that at the end of the show.
Sweet. All right. Well,
speaking of Elder Brain,
let's talk about the Elder Brain. This is the bigger one for sure. There's loads here.
Right. I am ready.
So Elder Brain, CR14, HP 210, AC 10, very easy to hit. They have a speed of 5 and a swim speed of 10. Not very mobile at all. They're not moving much.
Flooding around their tank.
Yeah.
Okay. I think this might be the highest CR we've covered.
I think it's in there. Yeah. Was it the Rakshasa was what, 13?
12 or 13. Yeah.
So yeah, this might very well be the highest one.
All right.
So they are large in size. I thought they were going to be huge in my head, but they're large. And they understand common, deep speech, and undercommon, but cannot speak. But of course, their telepathy works up to 5 miles, which is just a little bit over 8 kilometers.
Okay, that's good. You put that in there for those of us who don't speak in miles.
So we've got they have absolutely no vulnerabilities or conditioned immunities or resistances at all. Their blind sight up to 120 feet. No particular blindness beyond that. And I listed their ability scores. It's a big creature, so they got a strength of 15, dex 10, cons 20, intelligence is 21, wisdom's 19, and charisma is 24. So pretty beefy.
That's a higher strength than I predicted.
Yeah, right. They've got a big boost to a number of skills, particularly deception, intimidation, and persuasion, reflected from that charisma with a plus 12. Arcana, they have for a plus 10, and knowledge and insight is a plus 14.
That Arcana one confuses me, but okay.
I think it's probably just to do with, they are a treasure trove of collective knowledge and consciousness, and probably particularly surrounding magic. It's probably something they prioritize learning about because they're opposed to arcane so much, but they also have their own psionic abilities.
Yeah, I don't think psionic counts as arcane, though. I think that's...
No, it's quite the opposite, but it is magic, right? Technically.
Right.
Psionics are magic.
Okay. I don't like thinking about psionics as magic, but I understand that it functions as magic.
Yeah, mechanically it does. Yeah.
Okay.
So their first of their traits is they have what's called creature sense. So they can sense presence of any creature with an intelligence of 4 or higher within their 5-mile radius. It knows the distance and direction as well as the intelligence score of the creature.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and this is blocked only by the Mind Blank spell again, and non-detection. And this one is a level 3 spell.
Yeah, that's a pretty common one too. I think Rangers get that, and arcane tricksters and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it is protection against divination magic, particularly. So as much as psionics seem to be, they are considered magic. There's a lot of connection to divination in particular. Like Mind Blank is among the list of things that you're immune to. It's divination is listed. You had the Intellect Devourers, I think it was, they're straight up immune, or was it the Cranium Rats? Yeah, the Cranium Rats, they're straight up immune to divination spells. There seems to be a bit of connection to divination and psionics in that regard, but nothing explicitly said.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. It makes sense. They're kind of two sides of the same coin.
Right.
I mean, one makes sense to be able to shield you to the other, and I'm not sure I can articulate that properly. Why that makes sense to me?
It seems to be because to me they both seem to be about sort of discovering or knowing the very intangible parts of creatures or existence. You you use the spell augury or something like that. You're getting a wheel or woe about a situation, like something good or something bad, or maybe both will happen. It's this sort of like intangible element that you're gaining knowledge of. And then with psionics, it's memory, it's emotions, it's all that sort of stuff. It's very intangible, but still very existent. So I mean, that's me spitballing, but
yeah. I keep picturing like a waveform in my head, not a waveform, but like a wave, like a light wave represented mathematically. So it's got the amplitudes and the whatever the dips are called, I can't remember. And when you have two like sound waves that are in harmony, so one goes up while the other one goes down, they cancel each other out, and that's kind of how I see these.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know if that makes sense to anyone.
Draw me a chart. I'll put it on the Instagram. Yeah, I have no idea.
Think of it like a double helix.
Okay. Yeah, sure. You know what I'm thinking of is, have you ever watched the Final Fantasy Spirits Within film?
Yeah.
And they have like these phantoms that are just like, they're just like sudden, like an asteroid had come down and hit the planet, and these phantoms like just pull like the life essence out of you if they touch you and all this stuff, and they're really, really dangerous, and they can just kind of float through everything. But they end up defeating them through like creating this like opposite wave, and they had to like set this device off to like sort of negate their presence on some weird like mathematical or physical level.
Yeah, so I just Googled it, and it's called phase cancellation. I just sent you an image in the Discord of what it's represented by.
Sweet. Yeah, like a double helix. You're not wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, so the red line is one sound, and the blue line is the other sound, and because they dip and they amp at the same points and the same. They have the same wavelength.
Right.
They cancel each other out.
Gotcha. Okay. Science, everybody. There's your adventure book.
Science.
The Science of Psionics by James Kent.
I really hope you can cut that into something that's understandable.
Who cares? We're not the ones listening. Care. It's fine. But regardless of the connections of psionics and divination, we will look at the Elder Brain's innate spellcasting. Of course, they have some of their psionics. Their spell save DC is 18, so understandably high. Their CR, Intimod is +5. Excuse me. At will, they can detect thoughts, cast detect thoughts, and levitate. So levitate is relatively important. Because this allows them to move 20 feet. So they only have a speed of 5, swim speed of 10, but they can levitate, and as long as they maintain it is a concentration spell, but they can actually I think it's like bonus action move 20 feet, up to 20 feet in the air. I think they can.
How useless.
Yeah. Well, it's a giant floating brain. Here we go. There's your mechanic for it. So
there's your second connection to Futurama for the day, folks.
Yeah. So they, of course, have legendary resistance. Pretty typical. Big creature, this CR. So basically,
you're not going to touch on those once per day spells?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Just totally glossed over those, didn't I? Yeah. Once per day, dominate monster, and plane shift self only. I feel like I'm getting sick of plane shift self only. I think it's a shitty cop-out. Spell.
I love it so much for this specifically because they cannot plane shift with their tank.
Oh yeah, this is true.
Like, so useless.
They can like, oh shit, and then they, oh shit, fuck off, and then they're like, oh shit,
Yeah.
damn it. Yeah, true enough. Unless, I mean, which plane is it that's like the direct reflection of the material plane?
I don't know.
No, is there one?
Shadow plane?
Maybe, yeah. Mayhaps
Shadowfell?
the tank still exists there as well.
I don't know. That plane doesn't exist in my world. I'll tell you that.
I could be thinking of something else too. But
Stranger Things, the TV show?
No. Actually, more like the dream sort of world of Wheel of Time, where it's like directly reflected.
Telerun Riyadh.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, no, I'm still sick of playing shift self only. It's just a shitty, like, oh, you're about to kill the big bad guy. Oh, he disappears. See ya.
Yeah.
Just dumb.
I don't know why you'd want to do that with the CR14 creature. Like, just let them have the win.
Yeah, seriously. So they have legendary resistance. There's basically just 3 auto wins for saving throws per day.
I hate this.
Yeah, it's pretty dumb.
Hate it.
Yeah.
So much.
And the last time we encountered it, we ended up having a little bit of debate on it. Like it's so easy to metagame that. I still stand by what my position was. You know, the DM just decided, oh, you've cast a weak spell, so I won't waste one of these on it, and that's unfair. And in the ability's already OP. It's so powerful. So it's a tough one. And on top of that, they already have magic resistance, so advantage in saving throws versus magic and spells.
Yeah, I don't like it. I mean, there's a reason that I ask when I'm playing a caster, I ask the DM to roll a save before I announce what spell it is.
Exactly, yeah.
And that's to give them the opportunity to use this without the metagaming aspect.
Exactly, yeah.
But I agree with you. I do not like how legendary resistance is written. I get it, and it makes sense, but I just don't like that caveat that after the save is rolled or after the spell is identified or whatever that caveat is.
It's after they have failed it already. Once they fail it, they can just choose to succeed instead.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess that works for the way I like doing it as a caster. So I can just be like, okay, make a DC 16 Wisdom save, and you can roll it and then choose to save before I actually announce what spell.
Right. Yeah. And again, like it's good to play it that way, but you also shouldn't have to. You know, it should be. The metagaming should be avoided as much as possible. You know, it doesn't matter if I'm casting a cantrip. You should decide before. Without realizing what the spell is. Because I believe there are mechanics for trying to figure out what a spell is. At least there is in some game. I might like a counter spell. I think maybe in Pathfinder, you have to like do a roll to recognize the spell being cast before you can actually stop it.
I don't know if that's how counterspell works, but there is a spellcraft ability in Pathfinder for that.
Okay, sure.
I believe the Arcana check in 5e functions the same way to identify a spell.
Yeah.
But counterspell doesn't function that way. Counterspell is it's different in 5e.
Well, I know. Yeah, counterspell in 5e is basically. You can just use it in anything that's like spell level 3 or lower. It's automatically canceled. But if it goes higher than that, you have to expel a higher slot yourself, I think.
Yeah, so there's
nothing to do with identifying.
To do it in 5e, I think there's a counterspell spell, and I think there's a counterspell ability.
Right. Yeah, like a counterspell action of some kind, or like a deflection or something like that.
Yeah. But I don't know what that is. I'm a game master. Which is a terrible excuse. Let's just quickly move on from that.
Move on. So the last trait they have is called Telepathic Hub. Okay. And basically, they can maintain, converse with, and even connect up to 10 creatures telepathically at any given time. So they can...
I do not like the last word in that list.
So this is where I said earlier, the clear mechanic limitation on like their actual direct contact and control is, even just...
They're directly nerfing their omnipotence. I don't like that. I think that's counterintuitive to everything we've learned about the Elder Brain so far.
Right. It does seem a bit strange, isn't it? But I mean, of course, there's also no no action required for this. So they can just quickly, disconnect and reconnect someone else and do it, sort of manually from where they're positioned. But you're not wrong. It's a bit strange for them to have like a limit on that particular, especially if they have so many thralls.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem, because there's no mechanic. Because there's no action economy penalty to it, I don't even know why it's in there.
Right. Well, I mean, we'll get there. There's more to do with like linking psychically and stuff like that coming up in the actual actions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we'll get to the actions. Basic attack to start is tentacle. They can whip one of them tentacles out.
Gross.
Yeah. +7 to hit. Not terribly high for a CR14, I guess. I mean, it's not too bad, but it's got a 30-foot reach.
It's only got a 15 strength.
Yeah, true.
That's
yeah,
pretty
true.
low.
Yeah,
30
feet. Yeah, and it's no slouch of an attack because it does 48 plus 2 bludgeoning, nothing too big. But if the target is huge or smaller, it's automatically grappled. Escape DC of 15, and they take 1d8 plus 5 psychic damage at the start of their turns until the grapple ends, of course. And up to 4 creatures can be grappled at any time in this way.
Okay, I like that it takes the damage at the start of its turn. Mm-hmm. I appreciate that turn of phrase a lot because I find that, with one action they can break out of the grapple and they never take that extra damage.
Right, yeah.
So I always appreciate when it's at the beginning.
Yeah, when it's damaged, it's always at the start, and if it's a condition, it's always at the end, like a reroll of a saving throw, so that the effect actually does take place at least once.
Yeah.
And so very typical. I mean, if you got a party of 4, they could all be grappled at the same time. It could be like a really intense situation.
Yeah, grappling isn't that. I don't want to say it just doesn't seem to be that powerful in 5e. It always seems to be a means to a different end.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No. True enough. For sure. I mean, you're basically reduced to a 0 speed, but you can still attack. There might be a little bit of extra downside to it, but otherwise, if anything, it forces you. If you want to break that grapple, it forces you to spend your action doing it.
Yeah.
So that's sort of the biggest downside. Now, these guys also have their own Mind Blast. It is not a cone like the Mind Flayers. It is a 60-foot reach. There's a DC 18 intelligence saving throw to resist it, or you take 5d10 plus 5 psychic damage and are stunned for a full minute. So that's pretty similar to the Mind Flayer that's stun. And then you can repeat the saving throw at the end of each turn.
Right, and that's any amount of creatures within 60 feet.
No, that is a single creature. So this is not a conal radius thing. It is actually a specific creature within 60 feet. So it's a very singular target in this one.
No, it's not.
It's not.
I have the book open next to me. And its exact words are creatures, plural, of the Elder Brain's choice within 60 feet.
Oh, you're not wrong. So rather than having a cone, it is straight up just a 60-foot radius.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Oof, brutal.
So, yeah,
is brutal.
That's a lot worse. Yeah.
And you could just do that every... Oh, no, it's a recharge 5/6. Okay. I was like, could you just do that every turn? No, I didn't write down the recharge.
Yeah, the recharge makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that would be insanely powerful. And then from there, we have what's called Psychic Link. So you target an incapacitated creature, and the Elder Brain can perceive via the creature sense trait, and it establishes a psychic link. Oh, sorry, it's got to be an incapacitated creature that is being perceived via the creature sense trait. And once God. So basically, if you're like within that 5-hour radius and you have a long rest and sleep, it can do this. Is like the quickest way I can think of it, and it establishes a psychic link, and until the link ends, the brain can perceive all of the senses of the target. And once you are no longer incapacitated, so you wake up from your sleep, let's say, the creature becomes aware of the link, so you know something is connected to you. And the Elder Brain, of course, can terminate the link at any time, but if you want to try and break it yourself, it's a DC 18 Charisma saving throw. And if you succeed, you take 3d6 psychic damage for breaking the link.
Right. And that Mind Blast stuns them, which we learned incapacitates them. So, you Mind Blast one turn, then you Psychic Link another turn.
Right. And then the link also breaks if you get outside the 5-mile radius of the Elder Brain influence. and then up to 10 creatures can be linked in this way at a given time. So you could do this to a PC, of course, but you'll come to see that this actually will be very beneficial to do to the Elderbrain's thralls. So the next ability they have is called Sense Thoughts. So you target a creature that has been psychically linked by the previous ability, and the Elderbrain gains insight into the creature's reasoning and emotional state, including worries, loves, and hates. And the Elderbrain can make a deception check with advantage to trick the target's mind into believing a single idea or a particular emotion. This can be contested with an insight check. If the Elderbrain succeeds, the belief or feeling remains for a 1 full hour or until the lie is exposed.
That is so long.
Yeah. So you can create the psychic link, and you can influence someone for an hour, make them believe a single idea or a particular emotion, but you have to have that psychic link established first. So there's actually lots you can play with here within this 5 mile or 8 kilometer radius. You can really kind of start messing with people's heads.
Sort of. I don't know if sleeping counts as incapacitated. That's the thing.
Yeah, maybe. True enough. But also, if something else within that 5 mile radius manages to incapacitate you, and this creature uses its creature sense, it can detect you within that 5 mile radius, it can then affect you. It knows your intelligence score.
It would be an absolute fucking slog any game I play on your way up to an Elderbrain, because all of this shit would be happening.
Oh yeah, it would just be you really would just be messing with people's minds, players' minds, while their characters' minds are just being toyed with. And I love that they sort of have everything covered for that. This brings us to legendary actions. We haven't done too many times, but basically you get I think it's 3 legendary actions per round. And you can only take a legendary action at the end of another creature's turn. And you regain these 3 actions at the beginning of your turn. Okay. Or the Elderbrain's turn. And now these actions are, the first one is basic tentacle, make a tentacle attack. Next one is really cool. It's called break concentration. 120-foot range. And you have to have the psychic link. So there is a caveat to it. But you break the target's concentration and you deal 1d4 psychic damage per spell level of the concentration broken. Yeah, and so that could stack up pretty high. You're a level 14th character. You might have some high spells you're casting there.
I'll be honest. I love that ability. Just the fact that you can just pump its brain so hard that it auto breaks the concentration. There's no save or fail there. I like that a lot. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This one I really like too, Psychic Pulse. So this is where having a psychic link with one of its thralls comes into play. A target within 120 feet has a psychic link, and then enemies of that target within 10 feet of it take 3d6 psychic damage. No save, no roll. Boom. A Psychic Pulse emanates out from, say, a Mind Flayer. And anything within 10 feet of it, just boom, 3d6 psychic damage. You don't know what the fuck happened. And then another legendary action, Sever Psychic Link. So a target creature within 120 feet that you have the Psychic Link with, you break the link, causing disadvantage on ability checks, attack rolls, and saving throws until the end of the creature's next turn.
I really like all of those legendary actions. Mm-hmm. And just to be clear, it's not a pool, right? They just get those at the end, so it's not like this one takes 2 or this one takes 3.
In this case, they all just cost a single one, and some creatures will have this one cost 2 of the 3 legendary actions. Yeah. In this case, they're all singles. Yeah. Okay. So they can get a lot in one round of combat.
Those are serious.
Yeah.
Some of those are real bad.
Yeah. I think Elderbrain would be relatively tough to run in general, but I think it would be a really cool challenge and really fun once you nailed it. Trying to making sure you establish the psychic link in the right spot to the right creature to sort of best benefit the Elderbrain and give it the greatest advantage. It would be tough to sort of monitor all that, but a really cool challenge if you manage to pull it off.
Yeah, I think so too. They seem really interesting. Way more powerful than I thought they would, which is a nice change.
Yeah. And then, of course, it doesn't end there, because, I mean, they have these legendary actions, they have all this long list of things they can do, but of course, they have a lair, the colony, and we'll cover the regional effects first, which is, they're okay. Basically, creatures feel as though they're being followed, even when they're not, whenever they're like sort of within this territory. That's pretty simple. It's easy flavor for the DM to throw out there.
I like it, though. It's playing with the mind. It's paranoia. Sure. It's thematically consistent.
Yeah. The Elder Brain can overhear any telepathic conversation within their sort of lair radius, which we definitely discussed, I think, in the original Mind Flayer episode, to some degree. So here's the mechanic behind it. DC 18 insight check you can be made to realize, if you are speaking telepathically, to be realized something is eavesdropping on you. Although the check will not reveal who or what is eavesdropping or the location. And the Elder Brain cannot join the conversation unless they first establish that psychic link.
Right.
If a psychic link is formed while you're within this lair radius, you will hear like faint, incomprehensible whispers, like in like, I think it says in the book, in the deep recesses of your mind. So like really unnerving kind of stuff happening. But that's about it. That's just like these extra things that happen while you're in the area.
Okay.
But to add to that, we have lair actions, which always occur on initiative count 20. So on top of its ability to attack and connect with you and do all these things and use the legendary actions, at initiative count 20, the Elder Brain has the option of casting Wall of Force. Or they can also target a friendly creature that it senses within 120 feet. The creature gains advantage on one attack roll, ability check, or saving throw before the end of the next turn. The benefit is lost if not used. And then on top of that, they also have the option of targeting a creature that, again, it can sense within 120 feet. It has to make a DC 18 charisma saving throw or be unable to leave its current occupied space as if anchored in place. And it can repeat the saving throw at the end of its turn. So you could just kind of just be stuck there. You could be fighting mind flayers, and out of nowhere, you can't move.
Your speed is zero.
Speed is zero. Out of nowhere, a wall of force comes out. Out of nowhere, like the mind flayers are getting advantage on their attack rolls and ability checks and saving throws. You're like, why?
Wall of force is no slouch either.
Is it not? That's the one I actually didn't look up.
I'll give me a second here. I'll pull up the stats.
Oh, I got it. Concentration spell. An invisible wall of force springs into existence at a point you choose within range. The wall appears in any orientation you choose, horizontal or vertical barrier at any angle. It can be free-floating or resting. You can form it into a hemispherical dome or a sphere with a radius of up to 10 feet, so on and so forth. Each panel must be contiguous. Contiguous? Is that a word? Continuous. It says contiguous.
Yeah, let's go with contiguous.
Yeah, basically, you can create like this invisible solid wall within certain
so the kicker is the last paragraph. Nothing physically can pass through it. It is immune to all damage, and it cannot be dispelled by dispel magic.
Gnarly.
Also extends into the ethereal plane, blocking ethereal travel. So like it's a solid defense spell.
You could use this to you're going down a tunnel in the Underdark to try and navigate your way through, and then boom, all of a sudden there's an invisible wall of force that can't be damaged. So I guess we got to go left instead of right into a trap.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah,
totally
into
possible.
An Oblex.
Yeah,
a gelatinous cube. Like,
ugh, they're so creepy.
Yeah. I think my Mind Flayer module is going to be something like the Minotaur's Maze. Like you enter this twist and turny maze where every decision you make, you encounter a different thing. Like
right,
and then you get to the Elder Brain at the center of the maze,
and it's no slouch.
No, it'll fucking ruin your day.
But yeah, that's the Elder Brain. That's the end of it. Finally, quite the beast it is. Aberration, I guess.
Yeah.
I should say. But yeah, pretty cool.
So far, I'm really happy with almost every creature in this suite. There's nothing that really disappoints me.
Yeah. I mean, if anything,
rats,
the only one that we kind of really harped on was actually the Mind Flayer, You know, it was just like, they just don't have much. That they are very much supposed to be, you know, they flee and they have like something dominated that fights for them or with them or whatever. But they don't really have that get in there and attack. Other than the eating the brain thing, you know, we were a bit unenthused. But overall,
there's not a whole lot of
agree.
pizzazz.
Yeah. Overall, I agree. I'm pretty satisfied for the most part with these creatures. I think the cranium rats could use a little extra love. But
I think in our next episode, we're going to find some mind flayers that I like better.
Yeah, hopefully. Well, we got
I think
lined
that's
up.
really going to be the case.
It's Mind Witness, Illithids, Alhoun. Oh, yeah. Neothelids? Fuck, who knows?
So I think in that episode, we'll find something that I like a little bit better than the Mind Flayer itself. But we'll see. I'm excited for that one. Anything on this other than the giant swarm of cranium rats that you would want to change?
Not for myself, no, not really. I guess it would be interesting to explore. You know, what is this tanker vat made of for the elder brain, and what can the PCs do to like break or shatter or get it out of there, and what does it take, or how quickly mechanically does the creature actually die? That's clearly not explored, but it's something I would consider or think about if I were to run.
Adamantine, disintegrate spell, and 2 rounds.
Done and dusted.
I've been thinking about that the whole time.
But otherwise, I would give a lot more love to the cranium rats. I would just like end up throwing in basically anything that eventually becomes listed with any of these lithids. I think when we cover the next group as well, I think I'll be like, I would add that to the cranium rats. I'm going to add that to the cranium rats.
Right.
I'm going to eventually give them the mind blast. I'm going to eventually give them, more of these things for sure.
Okay. I'm going to go a different route, I think.
Yeah.
I think right off the bat, I would make them large, and then I'd give them the ooze ability. I don't remember what it's called, but when you like slash them, or when you hit them with something that's bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing, it becomes 2 medium swarms. And then it becomes 2 small swarms.
Yeah, okay. They break
and then
down.
it becomes 2 tiny swarms.
Yep.
Yeah.
That could be really cool.
I think I would do that and then give those smaller swarms pack tactics.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And I would actually, on top of that, I would add, it would cost part of their economy, but I would add something that allows them to regroup into a larger swarm. But there would be a cap on it. Like if they go from, if you have them as large as, or as big as huge, and they break down to large and then break down to medium, they can't make it back to huge. They can only go back to large.
No, they would, back to
because you are dwindling them, yeah. But yeah, I think that's really cool. That's a great idea.
Yeah. I think that's pretty much the only thing I would do. I might make confusion an at-will spell, but
yeah,
I don't think it's powerful enough for a CR 5 creature. And if I did that ooze ability, it would be probably a CR 7. So I don't think confusion would be enough for it to be once per day. I think
fair enough.
Be just fine.
Is there a mass confusion spell in 5e?
I don't know. Write in and let us know.
Because that would be a pretty beastly one to throw in there.
Maybe if you cast it at higher levels.
Yeah. There is a spell called Mass Suggestion. I don't know much about it, but that could be a thing.
I don't know a whole lot about any spells past that.
Spells are tough.
Okay, so confusion is each creature in a 10-foot radius, and casting it above 5th level increases the slot for each 5 feet. So if you cast it at 6th level or 5th level, it'll be a 15-foot radius.
Okay.
6th level, it'll be a 20-foot radius, and it's each creature in that radius.
Wicked. So, okay. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I'd probably do that.
Yeah, so you'd be adding in like the ability to cast it at such and such level. The higher you raise that CR.
Yeah, I'd probably do 5th level at will. So it's 15-foot radius from any of these.
Right. Right, from any swarm, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe start it at 5th level, but when it becomes a larger creature, it becomes 4th level.
Yeah.
And, have it scale with the scale of the creature. And
I'm like totally spitballing here, but I would love to be like to add something magically that's more damaging in that psychic regard. But I would love to add a sort of wild magic element to it from the wild magic sorcerer, where it's like they're just such a crazy collective that they're a bit unstable.
Okay, so you roll for whatever spell you cast?
Maybe something like that, or you just roll for like an additional effect. I think the way the wild magic one works is if you roll a natural 20, you have to roll on the wild magic table, and then like crazy effects happen. They can be good, they can be bad, they can be super mundane and just flavorful. But yeah, I think that would be kind of cool. And you could even add that to, say, the adventure hook, where like some weird shit's happening around town, and no one knows where it's coming from. But it's like the unstable nature of this heightened psionic intelligence.
The rats in the basement of this inn spawned a unicorn somehow.
Quite literally. It's like, what happened? I don't know. There was a unicorn in my basement, and it's just destroyed everything.
Going downstairs to get a keg of mead. You turn on the lights, the rats scatter, and there's just this unicorn.
There's a drunk unicorn who's been like sipping from the barrels.
Sup, Steve?
See? This is your adventure hook, guys. This is great. I'm all about this.
Pure gold.
Pure gold.
Somebody write that module and send it to us.
Oh, man. In any case, do you have anything else?
No, I don't think so. That pretty much covers it for me.
Sweet, yeah.
I'm really happy with the Elder Brain, really happy with the Intellect Devourer, really, really happy with the Intellect Devourer. Cranium rats they're fine.
Cool. Yeah.
They're thematically interesting.
Yeah.
But what do you think, dear listeners? Fire us off an email. Let us know how you feel at info@encounterthis.ca. You can hit us up on Facebook or Twitter @encounterpod or Instagram @encounter.pod. Or you can check us out on our home on the web at encounterthis.ca if you want to catch up on any of the back episodes. If you feel like this episode was worth it, I don't know why you would. That adventure hook, we're just giving it away for free. But if you want to give us $5 for it, you can hit us up on Patreon @EncounterPod. And for that $5, you'll get access to our show notes, our private Discord, and a handwritten letter anywhere in the world. Though the letter will be in English.
Or deep speech. If I write it, it'll be in deep speech. You won't be able to read it at all.
That's very true. The curse part of cursive is you cursing not being able to read the letter. And if you could shoot us a rate or review on your platform of choice, that really helps us out and helps new listeners find us. But most importantly, thank you for listening, because we appreciate you.
Yes, we do.
Thanks.
Bye, guys. They're getting more and more awkward every time. I love it.
Yeah. I just don't know how to finish it. I expect you to finish it after I do all that thing, and you never. No,
I love to just leave it blank for a bit there and see what happens. I'm just toying with you.